my podcast. So y'all stay on the lookout for that. And we're just going to talk about all things that add to a healthier and a happier life. Y'all stay on the lookout for that. And we're just going to talk about all things that add to a healthier and a happier life. So the topic tonight is communication. And y'all know I'm always talking about communication because we need it. The more is communication. And y'all know I'm always talking about communication because we need it. The more I listen to people, the more I coach, the more I realize, hey, people be struggling out here. They think they communicate well and they don't. There's levels to it. So I guess compared to someone who has very poor communication skills, they might be a step up, but uh, there's much to be desired. So that's why I spend my time talking about it, communication. So what's up with y'all tonight? Hello there. What is up with y'all tonight? What kind of communication things have y'all seen lately that you would like to discuss? Have you seen any dynamic that makes you go, hey, what in the world is this in terms of communication? I think with communication, number one, you got to know your good old self. You got to know what you want, what you don't want, what you can do, what you're willing to do. You have to have a good idea of that. And then have a good idea about your own flexibility. How flexible can I be? How flexible do I want to be in communication? So my question is, what kind of communication have y'all been experiencing lately? Any topics that kind of have rattled your nerves a little bit? Something you want to talk about? I want to know. Communication, all things communication. And if you've been talking to at least one person today, you probably noticed something communication wise, or this week, or this month. It could have been with a friend, it could have been with a family, your children, romantic partnership, a sibling, a neighbor, right? What kind of communication dynamics have you've been experiencing? That's what I want to talk about. And the other reason that I'm going back to my podcast is because I am tired of downloading videos, uploading videos. I just want a space where they can be stored and you can go and look at the archive. And that's why I like YouTube as well. That's why I kind of been coming away from going live on TikTok for that reason. I don't feel like doing the extra work of uploading, downloading, trimming. I don't even want to edit the podcast, okay? It's just going to be what it's going to be. And that's been my attitude in business just all along. It's going to be what I give. What I give is what I got. And if you on that frequency, you're going to pick it up. And if you're not, well, it ain't for you. So y'all, what communication dynamics have y'all been experiencing? Hey, Lil Shot. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Kimberly. Hey, Boss Lady. Hey, Krim. How are you? What kind of communication dynamics have y'all been experiencing? Things that have caused you to scratch your head and go, what in the world is that? Or what are your pet peeves communication-wise? That's what I want to know. I want to hear from you. What are your pet peeves? What is something you faced today or this week or this month? A topic that you would like to see discussed. I'm here because I want to teach. I want to talk. I do have something, but I want to hear from you first. I want to see you typing something. And pet peeves, being talked over, Lord. Yes, you mean volume-wise? Now, there's some comments being filtered, TikTok said. So if I don't address your comment, it's being filtered. Try some different words. Being talked over. People talk over you when they're experiencing low emotional management. They're not really listening to you. They're listening to themselves, their own thoughts, their own ideas, right? And it could be because they feel you're not listening, but if you just started talking and they start talking over you, they're experiencing some low emotional management. Now, if you're the type of person that doesn't listen too well and people have to butt in the conversation because they don't have a moment to speak, that's different, right? So you can tell me if it's any of that. Some people will start talking and they want you to sit there for hours and say nothing. Have you ever experienced that, y'all? Where the person starts talking and they want to go on. 5 minutes is a long time to be listening to a person, especially if they talking about you. And you gotta find out how to get in on it. Yeah, I don't like that either. I think it's important when you're communicating a problem, describe it, make it short. Right, you can't say nothing. So you do have to talk over those people. Because this one ain't gonna let me get no word in, right? So you gotta over talk them to make them be quiet. But the thing is, even when you over talk them, they still ain't listening because they want to get back to, yeah, get a journal, get your voice memo, get your therapist, right? Because if you want to have a conversation with me, let's dialogue, let's have a conversation. But I'm not going to sit there endlessly and listen because I got a capacity, right? Eventually, I'm going to have enough. And then I'm going to be managing a trigger. So when you have a problem, try to make it short. This is my problem that I'm having. But most people voice a problem and they want the other person to solve it. That's a pet peeve. If you have a problem with me or something I've done, tell me what it is you would like to see happen so I could decide whether or not I could do that. You know what I'm saying? What it is you would like to see happen so I could decide whether or not I could do that. You know what I'm saying? Because you might suggest something. You might suggest something that I don't want to do. Let's be real, you know? So when you are voicing a problem, I think you should use I language. Number one, I feel. Name your emotion. All right. I'm giving you kind of a formula you could start off with because a lot of people want to start off with reading people their pedigree because they're so unmanaged in their emotions. So you start off with I feel because I think. There's a formula right there. That way nobody is feeling blamed, right? And if they do feel blamed, that's their own thing. But you didn't start off blaming, right? I feel because I think. I'm telling you how to start off with a problem, a dilemma, something to talk about. I feel because I think. I feel upset because I think you're not listening. I feel unheard because when I started talking, you started doing this and I began to think that you're not hearing me. I feel because I think, is that the only way? No, there's many ways, but I'm just kind of giving you something to go off of, right? So after you say, I feel because these are my thoughts, then you stop, right? And you ask, is there something you want to say to that? The answer is, and the answer really is, right? I feel because I think, and then you're going to ask, what are your thoughts about that? Right? You're going to invite them to comment. What are you thinking? How did you experience what I just said? That's a good place to start. That's not the only place you can start, but that's a good place to start. So when you are listening to someone, right, and they're droning on and on, it is tempting to overtalk them. And I ain't gonna lie, I will overtalk a person when they're doing that. However, it's my preference for me to stop and go, can we put a pin right there? Because you're giving me a lot of information and I'm not going to remember what you're saying. Right. So can we go back to the first point? Because I need to go back to the first point. You do sometimes because what we don't need to do is keep absorbing triggering information and be unable to talk about it. Right. I'm not going to remember any of it except the stuff that's important to me. So think about this. Have you ever spoken to somebody about a lot of things and they only pick out certain things? That's human nature. They're only going to pick out the things that are important to them. And then you probably got mad and you probably said something like this. Now tell the truth. Out of all the things I said, you picked out that. You picked out that. You said too much. That's why. You said too much. They were trying to pick up the information. Some was going skating by them. Some didn't make sense. But the stuff that made sense and was relevant to them, they held it. That makes sense to me. You do the same thing. If somebody gives you a lot of information, you're going to hold on to what you can hold on to. Don't get mad at me. Like, if you don't want me to hold on to that, state your points one by one, okay? I'm telling you how to deal with me. State your points one by one because it's human nature to pick out what's important, to hold on to what's important. So calm down a little bit and let's address it point by point and then ask me how I'm experiencing it point by point. That's how you know whether or not a person really wants to work this out or they just want to fuss, they just want to vent. They want to be right, because if they really want to work it out, they will take that and go, okay, because they will see that as your opening to understand them, to talk. You don't want to understand if you just want to verbalize and run down the list of things. Yes, Creme, listen. I like to tell people how to deal with me. Like, you don't have to guess. All right? You don't have to guess with me. You're going to know exactly how to deal with me. If you want me to address every point, I want to address every point. But you're going to have to give it to me in bite-sized pieces. Because if I start giving you a long list of stuff, the way my mind works, you're going to do the same thing. So let's not. Let's not do that. So give people the problem in bite-sized pieces. Because sometimes you could start talking about a problem and, yeah, let me process. And guess what? Also, if you need to process, you need to ask me for space, right? Because I got an expansive mind. And if I start talking and it's something hard for you to process, you need to ask for that. Wait, let me process this. Wait, can we talk more about A, B, C, D, and E? You know, hold on a second. I want to get some water. What y'all thinking about that? Are y'all feeling that? I'll be right back. I need some water. Okay, I'm back. Hey, Nova. When I'm triggered, I'm going to need that processing time. Yeah, do you ask for it? Hey, Zora. Because if you're not going to ask for it, how I'm supposed to know you need it? Because, see, I process fast in real time. And if I'm needing to slow down, I'm going to be very verbal about it. I'm going to say, wait. I'm still on the previous point. Yeah, I'm still on the previous point. Wait. I need to get past this first. We can go past it, but I need to get past this first. I got questions. I want to know, right? And that's a catch-22 sometimes, right? Let's be honest. Thank you for liking the live, y'all. Because I am so detailed with conversation, I catch everything you say, and I want to hear about everything you have to say. We could talk for hours, just off the sentence, right? And so it's a double-edged sword at times, because if people are not used to being paid that much attention to, they feel triggered. They can feel triggered. I can't even listen no more. Right, right, right. If I'm stuck, I can't listen. I'll even say, right now it's hard for me to listen. Let me take what you gave me and let me see what I could do with it. I'm gonna have to come back. Right? But the double-edged sword is, number one, I hear. So that means the words that you speak, I hear what you're unconscious of also. Does that make sense? You ever read a sentence you speak? I hear what you're unconscious of also. Does that make sense? You ever read a sentence a person gave and they thought they were just telling you the thing that they thought they were telling you, but it's like 50 things in that one sentence? Right. So my ears are very keen, and I care about what I hear when I care about you. Now, if it's just somebody, in passing conversation or somebody on the street, I'm not going to pay that much attention. I'm going to let some things skate by. But if you're my friend, or if I'm in a relationship with you, if you're my children, my mom, these people get my honed in listening skills. And imagine that a person hearing what you say could be triggered. And it's not that I just hear what you say. I can point out the word phrase. Like, this word phrase tells me that A, B, C, D, and E. Right? And some people don't like that. No, it doesn't mean that. I was just saying. I was just asking a question. I was just, no, 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 no. Like, I heard that, right? I want to talk about it. So some people don't like that. It's the energy behind. Yes, it is. It is. Yep. That energy matters so much, because I could ask you one question in resentment. Thank you, Zora. And I can ask you that same question in an open space, and it's going to feel different. Right? So sometimes you be thinking, what? I just asked a question. You got to ask, what kind of energy was behind that question? Were you feeling bitter? Right? Were you already in a contracted state and you asked, so who was that? Right? Or you could ask, who was that, babe? And that could still be some resentment in there, because people think because they put a kind tone on something that meant the energy was good. No, but your intention behind asking the question is the energy. Yep, the face and the body language matters also, right? Michelle, you know what I'm saying? You could go, oh, so who was that? You could sound very curious, but in your curiosity, you could also be asking from an insecure space. So if you feel insecure, instead of trying to mask it with a kind tone, you could say, hey, I'm feeling real insecure inside, so I have this question. That's better than trying to mask, and then you're going to get mad if the person feels the energy. Like, what? I was just asking a question. No, you had an intention behind that, and I heard it. Now, if you could acknowledge what you really feel, I'm going to respect that and then ask about that. Well, first, before I answer the question, because I want to answer the question, but what got you feeling insecure? Because I care about that. Somebody telling me that I feel insecure will make me pause and go, wait, what caused you to feel insecure? Some people don't like that, right? Some people want to just express the whole problem. They don't want you to see the insecurity, right? Yeah, I'm feeling real insecure, right? Because we're all human, right, Nova? We're all human, and we have had insecure moments, but we learn how to mask it. Greetings, Z. How you doing? You mask it, and people feel the energy, right? You may ask a question like, let's see, what else? Give me another example of some kind of energy a person would mask. They might be feeling mad, and they'll say something like, I'm not mad, I'm just asking. So on the inside, maybe the reality is they're not mad, they're bothered. But what if they can't handle you saying you're insecure? It's probably, vulnerability crime. Yeah, if they can't handle you saying you feel insecure, then we're going to stop right there and go, so I really want to talk about the rest of it, right? But right now I'm feeling insecure, and I could tell that you don't like that, right? And you're not really wanting to handle it. Tell me how you experiencing me saying that I feel insecure, because if it's not something that I could talk about here, I'll handle it within myself, and I'll come back and talk about it when I'm over that part. Because sometimes, hey babe, sometimes you're not going to be handled the way that you want to be handled. Let's just be honest. I'm very realistic. I really am. But if you have a history of relational poor communication, then someone saying I feel insecure can be triggering to someone else, right? Especially if there's a history of you masking insecurity. So if you just start saying it, they're not going to become open to it like magically. They're going to have to learn that you feeling insecure is not going to result in you blaming them, shaming them. They have to learn that you saying I feel insecure is not going to come forward with your suspicion, with your accusation and implications, right? So when you feel insecure and you are safe within that and you're not holding them responsible, a person could be more open. So here's the thing. Let me throw an idea out there. I know in the past, my insecurities have caused me to blame and judge you, and it's been problematic. And I don't want to do that here. So right now, me saying I feel insecure is simply telling you what place I'm coming from when I ask that question. Can you handle that right now? I think you got to become masterful of setting the tone, the space, and the stage of the conversation. Because here's what I realize. As much as I want to be unimpeded in communication, as much as I want to be organic and authentic, it just sometimes ain't well received in some situations. So I have to set the stage for it. Right. So I'm feeling insecure. And I know in the past, when I've been insecure, I've been blaming you. Right. That's some personal accountability. Personal accountability. So that's setting the stage to disarm the situation. But that's not where I'm at right now. That's not where I'm at right now. Right now, I do feel insecure, and I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying when I ask this question, it's coming from an insecure space. Do you feel like talking about that? Are you in a space to talk about it? I think you do need to ask people what capacity they have. If you want your problem heard, then it makes sense to see if they have a capacity for it. Because my capacity differs according to my mood, how hungry I am, how much rest I got, right? Yeah, because sometimes you want to hurry and talk about the thing you had a problem with, but the foundational problem is I feel insecure. Yeah. So even with the good communication I have, and I know my communication is good, I still got to shapeshift it sometimes. And I don't really like that all the time. I'm a very straightforward person. I just want to come forward, right? But I realize that in coming forward with a person who, or people who don't process like that could just go a way I wouldn't want it to go. So sometimes you want to have a broad stroke approach to communication, but you do have to shapeshift sometimes, let's be honest. And what I mean by shapeshift, sometimes you have to set the tone and ask, is there space for it? If you keep seeing that when you have a conversation with a person, it keeps not going well, it's not just them. I'm going to stop and wonder, what could I do different? Because I ain't getting what I want here. It is not wise in communication for you to see that a thing ain't working and you still doing the same thing. That's not wise. This doesn't work with this person, right? And as much as I would love to just be how I am and who I am, we're relational beings. And so if I need to set the tone first, I'll do that. Is that my preference? No, but I will, because I want to be heard. I really do. There was a time in my life where I didn't mind whether or not people heard me deeply. I really didn't mind. Because either there were people in my life I felt hurt deeply by. So, I felt full already, maybe because I had a therapist and a coach at that time, or I was equipped. But this year has been a roller coaster year for me, right? And it's been a roller coaster year for a lot of people. And so I have accepted that in this space that I'm in right now, that could extend out to next year and years to come. It could be forever. I don't know. I do want to be heard in a deep way. I do. I want to be understood with the same level of understanding I offer it. And if I can't get that, I don't want it, because I've gone through enough time and space where I could take care of myself, and I'm still going to take care of myself, right? So this is not me thinking I'm about to unload responsibility on people, but the quality of communication, okay, Krim, the quality of communication that I want, require, and need in the season requires a deep level of understanding, right? It really does. And so if I can't have that, I don't want it, because that's not where I'm at. you know. So I think you need to know what season you're in, because sometimes you are in some relationships that have good communication or poor communication or whatever it is, but you need to know what your actual need is, right? If you need a lot of clarity, then you need to make sure you're connecting with people who can offer a lot of clarity. If you need a lot of understanding, then you need to connect with people who can verbalize, right? Who want to be understood, who are not going to mask and engage in passive aggressive things and such. You got to know what you need and then align with that, right? And also, you got to be the thing that you want for yourself. Yeah. You got to be the thing that you want for yourself, because what you look like wanting someone to understand you and you can't understand, like your capacity to understand is low. Your capacity to respond in deep ways is low. How you going to look for that and you can't be it, because a person who is like that is going to want that. Be honest. So how are you going to say, I don't communicate well, but I want a good communicator? How are you going to benefit them in the communication? Right? You're going to set a one-way dynamic. So you need to also be working on that within yourself and being that within yourself. If you want someone to hear you deeply, hear yourself deeply. Stop trivializing feelings, masking feelings, not saying what you really feel, retiring, retreating within yourself with some kind of bitterness. Stop doing that. Right? If you want someone, yeah, ouch, that's real. You want to be understood deeply, but how is that other person going to benefit in relationship with you? Is the question. So you got to be either being it or becoming it or something, you know. And so that's why I'm saying, in the season, it's not that I'm not going to take care of myself and I'm handing off responsibility. No, I want to share the experience of being understood, right? That's important. I want to share that experience. I want to feel expanded by conversations, right? I want to know that a person is really plugging into my experience, right? Because that is healing, because that is what I want. That's it, you know? So we started off this conversation by talking about a pet peeve. I guess feeling we are going to look a certain right. So if you don't want to look a certain way, then you got to stop that. Because guess what, Michelle? You don't want to look a certain way, but you actually be the certain way that you don't want to look. Like, for example, with the term insecurity, right? You might feel insecure, but you don't want them to think you insecure, but you feeling insecure. So you saying, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be seen in the way that I actually exist within myself in this energy. I want to be seen a different way. Then you're going to get mad if they start bucking against that. Right? I don't want them to think I'm too what? You're too what? You're already judging yourself before they have an opportunity to. So then you should just prepare not to be mad when they react the way you react with yourself. Abandonment, trivializing. When people reacting those same ways to you, you got to come back within and go, where have I done this to myself? Maybe it's aligning with someone who can't offer it. Maybe it's unrealistic expectations. It doesn't really mean that you treat yourself bad. It just may mean that you're not attending to your desires in a functional way. That's what that could mean. The reflection depends on you. It doesn't mean, okay, if they're harsh with you, you've been harsh with yourself. That's not, when we're not tit for tatting it. But if someone is harsh with you and you have not decided to shift in that energy and say, hey, that's not what I like, I'm not doing this, then that is you dealing harshly with yourself, but in a different way. Does that make sense? If a person is not listening to you, that doesn't mean you're not listening to yourself in the same way. But you need to listen to the alignment. Like, are we really aligned? And if you're skating past that, then yeah, you may not be hearing yourself. Right? Because sometimes people apply this in a way that is not meant to be applied. Well, if they lie to you, how do you lie to yourself? It's not like that. That's not the return question. The return question is more of how have I co-created this with this being, and how can I come out of co-creating it? I don't want to revisit this again. So what can I shift? What can be different? Right? We started off talking about when a person over talks you. Well, you got to be aware, do you make your problem list too long? Because if so, a person is going to get tired of listening and start over talking you. And if you don't want things to be addressed point by point, then you better get with a person that skates over details. Okay, you gotta know, like, what level do I actually want to be seen or known? If you commonly just go, I was just doing this, I was just doing this, I was just doing that, that means you trivialize the depth of your words. Then you need to get with someone who also does that to themselves, so it can be familiar. Because if you trivialize yourself, but you're with a person who pays attention, then you're going to have a problem. You're going to keep wanting them to back off and trivialize it with you, and they probably not going to do it. Where do you need more alignment? And I give that example because I've experienced that. I don't trivialize one word. I won't. You just went through that a couple of hours ago. I don't trivialize one word a person gives to me, because I don't trivialize a word within myself. Right? So if you want to be seen in a deep way, right, then understand that you've aligned with a person to see. But my responsibility is to make sure that I can be seen in a deep way. Right. And again, we're not sitting here trying to villainize anyone and say, they can't do this and they're not capable of that or whatever. We're not aligned. But the truth is, you be wanting to force alignment when you see it's not there. You already emotionally invested in a person. You know it's not aligned, but you still want to fuss about it. At some point, you got to see this ain't aligned. So either you're going to accept it and learn how to deal with it and create your reality in a certain way, become creative, or maybe y'all can work on it. Or you're going to have to get out of the connection. Because sometimes you do be trying to force stuff. Yeah. Your emotions are already invested. You are merged too much already. And you start looking for ways. And most of the time, the average person is just going to keep complaining to the person. I talked about this before, and you're still doing it, and you're still doing it. Yeah, that's relevant. But at some point, you got to go, okay, yeah, this is a pattern, right? And this person may not be quick to say, if they have a problem with feeling inadequate, they probably won't be quick to say, hey, you're right. They're going to fuss and say, I'm changing, I'm trying, I'm something. They're going to say something like that. Or trivialize the way that you feel and be like, this is so small. Why is this such a problem? Why are you ready to leave me if they have abandonment issues? Why do you even love me? Like, all these questions start coming up, right? So we just having an informal conversation about communication, right? And some of the pitfalls. Even when you have good communication, there's pitfalls. Every single day I examine the pitfall of my way of communicating, and it is a pitfall in some situations. In others, it's beautiful. So it just depends. Nobody is just all around a good communicator. It depends on the situation. And we got to recognize that, because you could be sitting thinking your communication is superior, and there's stuff you need to shift. It just may not be appropriate in this situation. And that doesn't mean you're a bad person. That just means that something else is required. you know, because, if with some people, if you tell them, your communication is poor, they might feel all out of sorts. And be like, what do you mean? I know my communication is good. I know. Well, it's not good here, in my opinion. And do you know it's okay for people to have an opinion of you that isn't what you want it to be? I mean, an example of that is, like I said, if I'm very straightforward and I'm dealing with a person who doesn't know how to deal with straightforwardness, me continuing to be straightforward and not getting the result that I want is not good communication in that space. But it's good somewhere else with a person who loves it. The question is, do I want to tussle with that? It is a part of reality. All right, so I think we covered the topic. Yes. I was out picking up some pizza for my children because I fell asleep. And I didn't even know I fell asleep. I was knocked out for hours. So I woke up late evening, finished some homeschool lessons. Hey, Boss Spot, how you doing? And I was just like, I gotta go get pizza. I don't want to do that, but that's what I gotta do today. So, but guess what? I did juice, and I got them some green juice. So they're gonna drink some green juice with pizza, and they have already accepted that. Yeah. You have pizza. What kind of pizza you got? For me, I don't even know what I want to eat. I don't feel that hungry. But I do have green juice, and I'm going to drink that. But I don't really have an appetite. I had some Thai vegetables earlier today. Some Thai vegetables and avocado sushi, which is basically just an avocado, the rice, and the seaweed. And so I'm still feeling full from that. All right, y'all. Well, I'm getting out of here. Peace and blessings be. I'm really in a talkative mood, so don't be surprised if I come back. Don't be surprised. Y'all just gonna be in for another episode of the Healthy Happy Life Show on TikTok. I go through seasons where I am just brimming over with information, and it's so much easier to talk it out than type it out. I be wanting to put it on my blog, but I just don't want to sit still. Okay, Z, thanks for being here. So yeah, I might. We'll see. You're welcome. Thanks for witnessing it. All right, talk to y'all soon. I'm going to bring this pizza inside.